Illegal aliens. We've been hearing a lot about them lately, mostly that they take jobs away from Americans. But what about legal aliens? People who enter this country with proper credentials from foreign lands. We take 400,000 legal immigrants into the United States each year, more than the total number accepted by all the rest of the nations on Earth. And those legal aliens are beginning to cost the American taxpayer a great deal of welfare money. A few weeks back, we began receiving letters from California about legal resident aliens, Filipinos mostly, who come to California and after just 30 days apply for welfare. That despite the immigration law, which requires the State Department to keep out aliens who might become public charges. Some estimates put the cost of legal aliens using federal and state welfare benefits at over $500 million a year at the very least. And the problem is nationwide.
Yonkers is a suburb outside New York City, and thousands of Jordanian families have chosen to settle here over the past 15 years. They've made themselves a Jordanian home away from home, and they are grateful for the opportunity America offers them.
The United States has a very big, rich name outside, abroad. Everybody is dreaming to be in it, if you are to be frank.
Shafik Rabadi is a leader in the Jordanian community in Yonkers.
Yes, since we came here to America, we adopted to be American citizens, and our sons to be taken to the service at any time they wanted. If we are to do any business, we are going to pay the taxes, we are going to be exemplary citizens.
But not all immigrants feel that sense of responsibility, and that's what this story is about. You see, for an alien to enter the United States, be he Jordanian, Portuguese, Italian, British, any nationality, someone, a sponsor, usually a family member, sometimes a friend here in the United States, has to sign an agreement saying that the sponsor can and will support the new immigrant, and that the sponsor will guarantee that the immigrant will not become a public charge. Another Jordanian, Sultan Rabadi, sponsored a family of 10 persons last October for their entry into the United States. 3 months later, those 10 persons were on welfare.
But you were their sponsor. You paid
how much you want me to help these people? I can't help. I have more responsibility. I have 7 people. I have 7 people, my family, plus my father. 8 people. I'm responsible about 8 people.
I understand that, but you signed a paper saying that they would not become public charges. That is, that they would not go on welfare. But 3 months after
they didn't have a job. He didn't have a job. He don't have a job. So I can't be responsible about 15 people, 18 people.
Maybe you just should not have signed the paper when you told them to come from Amman, Jordan, here to Yonkers in New York.
Well, everybody do that. Everybody do that.
How do you mean?
I mean, everybody sign a paper to help some people.
Sultan Rabadi showed me around the apartment that the family he sponsored lives in. And now that they're on welfare, Rabadi himself makes money from it. For welfare pays the family's rent. And since Rabadi's the landlord, he gets that rent, $350 a month from welfare. The Westchester County Welfare Office tells us a family this size receives about $11,000 a year in welfare payments. And Rabadi says many sponsors just don't expect to support the aliens they bring in, despite what papers they have signed.
If the government had said to you, okay, you want to sponsor the Ayub family? Put up a $5,000 bond, and you will have to pay that back to welfare if they go on welfare. Would you have done it?
No. No.
Why?
Because I didn't have money.
Right.
I didn't have money.
Most legal aliens are entitled to just the same welfare privileges as American citizens. And most welfare offices don't know the number of sponsors who renege on their commitments or how much it costs. But in Westchester County, where 60 cents out of every tax dollar goes for welfare, they've now started to calculate the price of aliens on welfare. And they found the bill there is in the tens of millions. When social service officials here in this Yonkers welfare office started looking through their records a couple of years ago, they noticed some recurring patterns. Immigrants were coming into this country, settling here in Westchester County, and within a few months, sometimes in a few days, they were coming to this welfare office and getting welfare, food stamps, and Medicaid. That despite the fact that somebody had signed an affidavit of support pledging that the immigrant would not go on welfare.
And there was nothing this office could do about it because it was legal.
The sponsor's affidavit spells out in detail how much the sponsor makes, what he has in the bank, and other assets with bank statements to confirm them, all leading to item 9 on the sponsor's statement, that this affidavit is made by me for the purpose of assuring the Immigration and Naturalization Service that the persons named in item 3 will not become public charges in the United States. Welfare caseworkers Nancy Walsh and Lindy Spry say some sponsors sign for immigrants despite the fact they know those aliens will have a hard time supporting themselves.
The sponsor has to be aware that a lot of the people he's sponsoring in are elderly, or people with disabilities, or people who could not possibly go out and support themselves.
Lots of these sponsors do have money, do have property, and could support these people, but just don't?
I believe so, yes.
And there's no way to get at them?
Not that we've been able to find out.
Everybody in the community knows that person owns property and has finances, but it's not legally under our laws touchable.
Ms. Spry, are there sponsors who have brought in families, had them go on welfare, and then brought in other families?
Yes, we see that quite often. We see a sponsor who would bring in 1, 2, maybe even 5 to 6 families, put them on assistance, and sponsor somebody else in, using the same assets that they declared on the affidavit for the first family.
The man who lives in that house, Habib Marji, came to the United States from Jordan in 1965. He's employed as a Pinkerton guard. He's a man of property. He has sponsored the legal entry into this country of at least 5 families. In his sponsorship papers, he said, "I am ready, willing, and capable to receive, maintain, and support the family, and I am making this affidavit in good faith to induce the Honorable American Consul in Jordan and the immigration authorities in the United States in determining that such prospective immigrant will not be a person that can become a public charge." But several of the families he sponsored are now on welfare, and Habib Marji says he's not responsible for them. At first, he agreed to talk to us, and now he says he's too sick to talk about it.
2 of the persons he brought over, now on welfare, are his daughters-in-law. This is one of them. 5 months after she got here, she and her husband were on welfare. They told us they didn't want to go to work until her husband finishes school. The sponsor, the father-in-law, owns this house and the one next door. His assets, he has said, are worth well over $100,000, and he too gets rent money from welfare for housing the families he sponsored. The easy availability of welfare funds drew even the local immigrant magazine to poke fun at the community. In this cartoon showing a Jordanian coming into New York's Kennedy Airport and asking the taxi driver to take him to 70 Ashburton Avenue, the address of the Yonkers Welfare Office. Shafik Rabadi says welfare itself should share the blame.
From the beginning of the time that they started to migrate up to now, no action was taken against any sponsor. Say, for example, somebody sponsored somebody and came here, and after 5 or 6 months he went to the welfare. The welfare themselves did not take any action, say, for example, to stop the money.
Do you call the sponsor in, Ms. Walsh, to talk about it?
Yes, we do call the sponsor. We contact him. As long as he will give us a notarized statement saying that he can no longer support this person, we must accept it. We have no right to go any further. When we began seeing the problem of sponsors not living up to what we saw as their legal commitment to take care of people for 5 years after they came in the country, we went into some research about it, and we found out that actually, even though they signed something which says that they are bound to take care of this person, it is simply a moral commitment.
Do you ever say to the sponsor, wait a minute, you said that you would?
That's right.
And they say,
sorry, I have other financial obligations.
you will not sponsor other Jordanian families who want to come, Mr. Rabadi. Why?
I tell you frankly, because I have no money to support them, and I don't want to bear the responsibility for their coming. You see, I appreciate.
Right.
I understand well that the Americans mean when you sign something, you mean it. That you have to be responsible so that they don't become a public charge. So that, I mean, they don't be a heavy burden, you see, on the shoulders of the others in this country. This is the meaning of it.
Correct.
I myself understand it this way.
That man, he can understand good English, and he knows everything. I can understand everything, you know? And he can read good. You know the problem why they go to the welfare?
Because?
Because they don't have any jobs. They want to eat. How come you like the people, the kids, 2 years, 3 years, or 6 years old? You want them to die without food? That's why they go to the welfare.
But they say Rabadi signed a paper.
I signed the paper. I didn't know that I gotta be responsible about five years.
Well, who's at fault? Is it immigration? Is it the consul back in Amman in Jordan? Is it the State Department? Who is to blame?
As we tried to sort it out from our own perspective, it seemed to me that it was the State Department. That if they wanted to, that they could make people post bond. After all, it's even on the form which you signed to become a sponsor.
Carl Shepard, who runs the U.S. State Department's visa section, says the whole legal alien welfare situation is a mess.
Fact is, Mr. Shepard, that this very formal affidavit of support with all kinds of questions about stocks and bonds and money and life insurance and real estate and signatures and this legal-looking document is nothing but a sort of a worthless piece of paper. Legally.
In a legal sense, you're quite correct. It has no more value than any other piece of paper.
Aren't we being taken advantage of?
I wouldn't question that we are, but again, because of the lack of hard figures, we don't really know to what extent.
Well, how often do you deny visas because you think the alien might become a public charge?
As of fiscal year 76, we actually refused 48,000 visas for public charge.
You did?
Yes.
And how many people became public charges?
I don't believe that there's anybody in the government who has that figure.
But we assumed the Immigration Department would know. After all, it's their job to watch over aliens here, and to hold the bonds the sponsors can be asked to deposit. Sam Bernson is immigration's top legal counsel.
Do you have any idea of the number of legal aliens who are getting welfare?
That's one of the unknowns.
Just unknown?
It's an unknown.
How many public charge bonds that we're talking about, are filed during the course of the average year for legal immigrants?
That's a figure that is unknown. We don't have that figure. We don't break that figure out.
Here in the paper capital of the world, you don't know that.
That's right. And with all the data that we assemble, and we publish a massive annual report loaded with numbers.
You don't know the number of aliens, legal aliens, who are on welfare.
Yeah.
You don't know.
We don't know. Neither do those who are handing out the welfare payments know.
Under federal law, Mr. Bernson, any alien in the U.S. shall, upon the order of the Attorney General, be deported who has within 5 years after entry become a public charge. What does that mean?
The term public charge has been given a legal meaning. In addition to the person obtaining welfare, whoever gives him that welfare has to ask him to reimburse.
If an alien comes into the United States legally and goes on welfare, he is not a public charge unless the welfare office demands the money back?
That is correct.
And if the welfare office doesn't demand the money back, he's home free?
He's not a public charge under the interpretation of that provision of law.
And how many welfare offices demand repayment? None that we could find.
That just doesn't seem to make sense. It is, forgive me, a kind of catch-22.
It is a loophole in the law. The loophole should be plugged, and Congress is aware of it. The bills have been introduced, but unfortunately, these things move terribly slowly.
Even though the Immigration Service knows that many aliens take advantage of a variety of federal and state welfare benefits, they tell us they have not been able to deport one single alien for going on welfare since 1948, all because of that loophole in the law.